Her best friend was losing her hair to chemotherapy, going through a double mastectomy, fighting for her life, and she had no idea, because she'd spent over a year being cold to her over a guy she didn't even want anymore. And I promise you, this story gets so much worse. Okay, so these two girls, over a decade of friendship, met in college during their first week and immediately became the kind of inseparable that makes people assume you're sisters. They were supposed to be in each other's weddings. That was the plan. That was always the plan. And then something cracked. Not a blow-up, not a screaming match, not some massive, dramatic betrayal you can point to and explain. No, the thing that cracked a decade-long friendship was, and I want you to really sit with this, embarrassingly, catastrophically small. Like, she will tell you herself that the reason is humiliating to say out loud. But the consequences? The consequences were anything but small. Because while she was being petty and distant and choosing pride over her best friend was getting a cancer diagnosis and going through it alone. So here's where it starts. Her best friend starts dating someone. And not just anyone. A guy she had briefly dated herself a few years earlier. A guy she was completely over. A guy she had actually, at one point, told her friend was cute and basically encouraged her to go for it. So on paper, no issue. Zero conflict. But the second things got serious between them, something dark flipped on inside her. Not love for him. She's been very clear about that. Not jealousy in the way we normally talk about jealousy. It was more like this weird, ugly, irrational feeling of being left behind. Like an unspoken rule had been broken. And instead of being able to say that, instead of being able to sit her best friend down and go, "Hey, I'm feeling something I can't fully explain and I need to talk through it," she just shut down. She got cold. She started canceling plans. Texts got shorter. Responses got clipped and distant and said absolutely nothing. And when her best friend looked her in the eyes and point blank asked if something was wrong, she said she was just busy. "I'm sorry. You chose I'm just busy." Over a decade of friendship. Okay, so her best friend, naturally, starts reaching out less. Because what else is she supposed to do? She's being met with a wall. She's getting nothing back. And eventually, she stops reaching out altogether. And here's the part that makes my brain short-circuit a little. Instead of feeling guilty about that, she convinced herself she was the victim. She actually rewrote the story in her own head until she was the wronged party. Told herself her friend had given up too easily. That a real best friend would have fought harder for her. Spent the better part of a year genuinely believing she had been abandoned. She wrote the story, cast herself as the victim, and then believed it. You think that's the worst part? Oh no, we haven't even gotten there. So time passes. A year-ish of this cold silence. And then she sees on social media that her best friend got engaged. She feels a sharp pang in her chest, pushes it down. Keeps scrolling. A few months after that, a mutual friend reaches out. She assumes it's about wedding stuff. Bridal parties. Maybe. Bridesmaid drama. Whatever. It was not about wedding stuff. Her best friend had been diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. She had already had a double mastectomy. She was in the middle of chemotherapy. She had been fighting for her life for months. Quietly. Without her. Without the person who was supposed to be her person. She sat on her bathroom floor for an hour. Didn't move. I don't even have words for that image. You're on the bathroom floor processing the fact that your best friend has been losing her hair. Losing parts of her body. Fighting to survive. And you were out here with a grudge about a guy you didn't even like anymore. She'd been sick since the fall. She went through major surgery. She was navigating chemotherapy, losing her hair, and on top of all of that, getting engaged. while the person who was supposed to be her closest friend had spent over a year being quietly, pettily, stubbornly distant, over absolutely nothing. That night, she reached out. No script, no carefully prepared speech, just the truth. She'd been a terrible friend. She was ashamed of herself. She had no right to ask for anything. And she loved her and was so deeply sorry. Her best friend called her the next morning. Okay, this is the part where I need you to slow down with me. They talked for 3 hours. Both of them cried. Her friend told her the withdrawal had genuinely hurt her. Like, not just annoyed her, it had actually hurt. But she said getting sick had changed something in her. She didn't want to leave things unresolved. She wanted to close every open wound she had. Because when you're staring down a cancer diagnosis, you stop having energy for things staying broken. She said she didn't want to leave things that way. And that sentence alone, I can't. So they rebuild it, slowly, intentionally, with the kind of care you bring to something you almost lost forever. She flew across the country to see her friend during treatment. Twice. She was there for the final infusion. She was in the room when the doctor said the words, "No evidence of disease." And she cried harder than she'd ever cried in her entire life. And now, her best friend is healthy. The cancer is gone. The wedding is coming up. And she will be standing right beside her, as maid of honor. But here's the part she says she can't say out loud to anyone in her real life. The part she's been carrying quietly. There is a version of this story that ends differently. There is a version where her friend doesn't make it, where she spends the last chapter of her best friend's life completely frozen out of it. Where there's no phone call, no reunion, no room full of happy tears and a doctor saying those 4 words. Just guilt. Raw, unrelenting, permanent guilt, with absolutely nothing to redeem it. That version didn't happen. But it almost did. And she has to live with how close it came. Every single day. The almost cost her everything. She says she's still working on forgiving the ugliest version of herself. The one who chose pride over love, distance over honesty, silence over one conversation that could have fixed everything in an afternoon. She's not there yet. She doesn't know when she will be. But her best friend is going to be a bride. And she gets to be standing right next to her when it happens. And if you are holding a grudge right now, over something that's gonna feel embarrassing in 5 years, over something rooted in pride rather than real pain, this story is the reason to pick up the phone tonight. Say the real thing. Life does not give you unlimited chances to get it right. So here's where I need you to weigh in. Because this is a lot to sit with. Does she deserve to forgive herself for how she acted? Like, she almost let her best friend go through cancer completely alone because of a grudge she made up in her own head. That's the reality of it. But she also showed up. She did the hard thing. She rebuilt it. She was in that room. Drop your verdict in the comments. Full send. I want to know exactly where you stand on this one. Does the guilt end here? Or is this something she has to carry? Next up, a story that made our entire team go completely silent. Nobody said a word for like 30 seconds. You do not want to miss it. Subscribe so you never miss a single drop of drama. Stories shared on this channel are inspired by real experiences posted online. All details have been anonymized and rewritten. Any resemblance to specific individuals is coincidental.